Good morning, my my viewers, my audience, my fellow audience. Or is that an appropriate use of the word fellow? If it sounds like I'm sleepy, it's because I am. You can see the circles under my eyes, even though I got a wonderful 9 to 10 hours of sleep last night. That does nothing for me, apparently. I'm supposed to go into work in like 10 minutes. So we're going to knock this out really fast because I've had this concept in my notebook that I'm going to show you. I have written it out and I'm trying to make a point to prove my earlier self wrong, actually, ironically. So the question I beg to answer, beg is a little bit desperate. The question that I want to answer: are Miu Miu sunglasses really worth $500? And this goes back to something that I said in my earlier video where I said that luxury fashion is not worth it anymore. I want to put key terms on anymore because at what point was luxury fashion worth it?
Why?
Why am I paying $500 for cute Miu Miu sunglasses? But I think that the limit that I would pay for these is probably like 120. So I would like to start off with admitting that my assumption in my last video that luxury fashion isn't worth it anymore was terrible. Well, it wasn't terrible, but it was embarrassing because I made that assumption without providing you, the audience, with the facts. And I hate when people tell me what to think without giving me sufficient reason as to why I should think that. So I need to retrace my steps and prove my point before I'm like, okay, we're at this point where we all know that luxury fashion is not worth it, but we've never had this discussion. You and I have never had this conversation. I totally left you out of it, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry. So I did some research because I decided to educate myself and articulate myself. And I will admit that status plays a huge role. Status plays a huge role when it comes to luxury fashion, and you're essentially paying for a logo, which I personally think is stupid, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason that luxury houses have made it this far. So I'm going to start off by comparing Ray-Bans. I think that most people have heard of Ray-Bans, but if you haven't, Ray-Bans is a pretty quality sunglasses brand. Their sunglasses go for usually like $100 to $200. You can get like your prescription lenses in them. They're really good. They're really quality. I personally don't own any Ray-Bans, but I had a close friend who would let me wear their Ray-Bans on occasion, and I gotta admit, it was nice. Like, especially for driving when the sun is hitting you just right. I feel like Ray-Bans are like one of the only sunglasses that like makes that not terrible. They're also really durable. Like, if you want a quality pair of sunglasses, you're not buying Miu Miu, you're buying Ray-Bans, because Ray-Bans are gonna last you for years and years and years. You pay for the quality when you go to Ray-Ban. It's not necessarily about style. The thing about Ray-Bans is you can usually find them in like a mall or a mall stand. And I will admit that when I went to look at my local mall, I actually did not find any styles that I liked. They promoted the functionality of it a lot. They promoted all the cool things that it could do, the things that it could protect you from, the situations that Ray-Bans could be in and not break. And I was interested in looking cute, so unfortunately that did not appeal to me. But unlike Ray-Bans, with Miu Miu, you're not necessarily paying for quality. You're paying for prestige. You're paying for status. You're paying to show everybody that I wear Miu Miu. I wear Prada. I wear a Burberry coat. I wear Rick Owens boots. That's who I am. And I hope in my Miu Miu sunglasses and my Burberry coat and my Rick Owens boots that you will see that I have some sort of value. Perception. Social signaling. Social signaling is not a unfamiliar concept. It's not new. We've been social signaling probably for millenniums. We're humans. That's what we do. I can afford it. I can afford it. I do well in life. These are my achievements, you know. I can afford to have the Coach bag, which I mean, that is a trend. I think that everybody does kind of like, maybe maybe it's not a trend anymore because I've seen like a resurge and it felt performative. But when I was growing up, I felt like everybody, all the cool girls, wanted a Coach bag. And when I was growing up, I'm 23 now. When I was growing up was probably like more than 10 years ago. So maybe that's a little bit outdated. Thing about luxury brands as well, the last thing that I'm going to touch on before I move on is I also want to discuss the concept of aspiration because I made an earlier video called Is Vogue Cooked? In which one could say that I roasted Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians. Um, I do have strong opinions on that. I also have strong opinions on the fact that Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are on the honorary council for the Met Gala this year. I'm confused. I'm sad. But somebody was like, why are you attacking the Kardashians and the Jenners? And my question with that was like, I just don't see the appeal. I don't see the appeal. And I actually had to do some research and educate myself and see that the appeal is aspiration. The appeal is aspiration, and Vogue perhaps also has to be aspirational, and luxury houses perhaps to be aspirational because they have to convince you that you could have this. You could live like a Kardashian. You could be Kendall Jenner. You just have to like have a momager like Kris Jenner. You just have to start young. You just have to know the right people, and you too can have a snack fridge that is restocked by the people who run your house or clean your house for you, your staff, your maids, your assistants. I don't know. You too can also have a Mercedes Benz. That is a lifestyle that you should aspire for, you should hope for. And this isn't so much something that was publicized to my generation. I feel like it was kind of the one before, but we're still feeling little I think we're still feeling little bits of that because culture changes slowly. So people aspire for it. People aspire for the $500 Miu Miu sunglasses. The question I raise is that are people actually going to treat you different, and are they going to treat you better? Define better. Are people going to see that you have more worth because you have a designer logo on you? And do you really want those people to treat you well? Of course you do. We all want to be treated well. It doesn't matter what we have to do or how we have to present ourselves to do that. Luxury brands aside, people betray themselves all the time for others' approval, so that's not unique to luxury brands. But I present you with my research. My research being one article from Forbes in 2014. The article was written by, not 2014. The article that I present to you was written in Forbes in 2024 because why would I include such irrelevant information that came from 2014? Pamela Danziger writes, millennials prioritize spending on luxury goods over experience. I don't think I'm a millennial. I think I'm Gen Z, and I definitely prioritize experience over material things. I will take the experience. I will take a spa day, a $200 spa day before I buy a $200 bag. But millennials aren't like that. Millennials, apparently, according to Forbes, prioritize luxury goods. They display their wealth and accomplishments through luxury purchases. And 70% of this generation are concerned with projecting the right image. In that same article, 70% in that same article, 67% of the Gen Z say that they are planning to spend less on luxury goods in the coming year. And boomers, 80% of boomers have said that they're also going to spend less. There was no comment on millennials spending less. So it depends on the age gap. I think that maybe Gen Z is more focused on quiet luxury. So maybe that like didn't actually go away for us. Maybe Gen Z still wants to appear luxurious, but they don't actually want to look like they're trying too hard. I'm not sure. Bringing me back to the original question. Are Miu Miu sunglasses really worth $500? If you're paying for status, maybe to some that feels like accomplishments. Maybe to some that feels like I am worth it. I'm worth the $500 Mew Mew. I'm worth spending that on myself because I deserve it, because like I've worked hard for it. And if you decide that like the reason that you go into work is so you can get the $500 Mew Mew sunglasses and that is your goal and that is what you aspire for, I think that hope is important. I hope that this little I think that hope is important. I think everybody should have a goal. And honestly, what that goal is up to you and it's none of my business. So for me, are the Miu Miu sunglasses worth $500? Absolutely not. Am I going to continue to boycott brands because I said that was something that I was going to do in my last video? I think I'm going to try and go easier on them because obviously this is a business for a reason. Obviously, the fashion world has survived, lasted, and thrived for this long. And maybe I have it all wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. I love learning, so okay. I have to go to work because I have to work a real job. Okay, YouTube is not my full-time job yet, so I want it to be because I would love to just talk all day nonstop. Wouldn't y'all love that? I just talked all the time. I think some people would hate that, but it's okay because nobody cares about them. So, okay, we're ending the video. We're moving on. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.